Good evening, everyone. I trust that by now you are all tuned up and ready to go. At least that's what Pallas Athena would like to know. When the Manus come, it stretches us all. And so Pallas Athena, in a joking manner, said, well, I wanted to let the Manus clear the room before I came, so that those who were sincere students would remain. And you're still here. I'd love to sit and talk, but she tells me to be quiet and be on with the evening. So if you will make your attunement, first and foremost, to your mighty I Am presence, and then to the heart of beloved Pallas Athena. Blessed sons and daughters of God, as I address you this night, there are those across the land that are hungering for what you who are in attendance are so freely given. The hunger that will not be denied when the upraised chalice of their heart continues its yearning for God. These are the life streams across the earth that would move mountains to be where you are if they had the outer awareness of where to find the presence of God. Oh, yes, you say, the presence of God is right where they are. They need only open their heart. But did you open your heart to the presence of God and know these teachings and instruction that would imbue a divine culture to bring forth the golden age? Were you not present to hear these addresses, to absorb the body consciousness of the ascended masters, to have their activity of momentum spin you in an acceleration to carry you to the next conclave and the next, so that at each time you were engaging at this altar, you were accelerating on your own path, your own journey. You are not where you were at the beginning of your course of study of these teachings. Oh yes, there were those many incarnations when you achieved mighty good works for God. But blessed hearts, now we are talking about internalizing the teaching and instruction, so that this might be, if it is the will of your God presence, the final incarnation upon the earth, so that you might take the ascension and be in the glory of the perfection of your own God presence, radiating the rays of God consciousness, creating, fashioning, and forming with the elemental forces of nature, as you have heard and witnessed of the ascended masters. Blessed hearts, each one of you are setting a record in the earth of what is possible for mankind to know for themselves. Those of you who are students of history know how you hunger for the word of future civilizations that might come, because the record of ancient civilization has laid the groundwork, paved the road, instilled within the minds of man what can be and what could possibly be given birth to as a divine culture. You, blessed hearts, are the word of the future. You are inaugurating a sacred science that will infuse these vehicles of consciousness that you wear and that are the earth, the water, the air, the memory body of all sons and daughters of God upon the earth. For what passes through your chakras, what you galvanize as the truth of cosmic law and radiate out, catches those into a vortex of your light. If they are predisposed to want the light of God, to want the perfection of God, the beauty of God, the holiness of God, the sanctity of an ascended master way of life, this blessed hearts that you have come to know so well is so desired of many. You need only look as far in the modern era of what is currently being printed, what is before the world, presented as events, movies, gatherings of theater. They do not hold to the highest truths of cosmic law. Even beloved Saint Germain's work as Shakespeare has been fading further to the background in the present culture. Few truly understand or know the meaning of his works. For that era and that time, it was the vehicle that he could use in order to teach and instruct that would stay alive for future generations. That which is printed and shown upon the large screens for the masses to be entertained with in the present era will not live past this generation, save a few classics that will rise to the level of vibration that can be held before the next or the next generation to come. This is why it is important for you to give your calls, your prayers, your affirmations for the disseminating of the divine culture in the land that is to usher in the golden age, for the patterns that you think, that your emotional body desires, will be those things, blessed ones, that will have greater impact into the mind and the emotional body of the earth and all that are on it. And it will have its effect. When you make a call to your mighty I Am presence, you can be assured that not only your own God presence, but one or more of the ascended and cosmic beings will augment your calls and send them forth as cosmic rays of light, laser beams of consciousness that will find that perfect chalice waiting to create what you have made the call for. Perhaps it is not within the purview of your own creative talents, but nonetheless there are those life streams embodied that have the talent, but they do not have the spiritual attunement with their own God presence to bring about the refinement that is required. So when you, by your calls, clear the debris, not only in your own life, but in the masses, you are assisting for the divine culture to be born. You have learned already throughout this conclave many valuable lessons of what not to do in your own life that would allow more of the presence of God to shine forth and to take command of your life, your vibration, your thought and feeling world. And thus, as you return to your day-to-day life, you will not desire to gravitate back to those old ways, but you will desire, with every erg of energy of your being, to hold fast to what you have learned, to make the constant call to your mighty I Am presence, to assist you at every turn, to not lose one erg of momentum. For in the collective whole of the torchbearers of the temple, even now, there are those that will make a difference for the entire planet. Some of you do not know how great is your mighty I Am presence, or the causal body momentum with which you have come into this incarnation. Perhaps you have a seemingly meager life. But ask Saint Germain what he thinks about those washerwomen and what they can accomplish. Oh, blessed hearts, you have the opportunity to change the world. We expect it, not because it is a wishful thinking upon the Ascended Master's consciousness. It is because there is a divine momentum that has been brought to the fore by your God presence. And it is within the capability of what you can do. For many ages, I have watched the world move in and out of civilizations, where in each case there have been a specific mark of accomplishment or a loss of momentum. It is not our desire that there be another loss of momentum for the earth. This is why we have drawn together those of you who have the heart and the mind of God that desires to be involved with this work. Blessed ones, the entire spirit of the Brotherhood of Light could have tapped anyone upon the planet on the shoulder, encouraging them to hear the voice of God within their heart and follow it. Are you the wisest? Perhaps, but perhaps not. Are you the wealthiest? Of the worldly abundance, perhaps, perhaps not. What you are filled with the wealth of is the abundance of light within your own mighty I Am presence. And you have learned to touch that light, to experience that light, to draw it forth into your vehicles. And when that is maintained in a constancy of the flow, not unlike the vast rivers of the earth that never wane, but are always filled to their bank, then you, blessed hearts, are who we depend upon. Throughout the ages, there have been times when very few could be gathered together that would hear the voice of God. Even when there were those that left the gates and moved through the deserts with Moses, there were still many that did not have the courage, the vision, or the fortitude of strength to leave their sameness of bondage and follow the command of God. So this is not an era unlike any other. Many times there will be those filled with doubt and fear that do not have a heart that is born of fearlessness, that is courageous, that is willing to give of itself for the fullness of God that would fill it again and again, over and over, until one day the light of God consumes every vestige of their being, and they shine forth, having gone through the resurrection, transfiguration, and they are ready for the ascension. This occurs, blessed hearts. You know of many of the ascended masters that come to assist you, even in this era, that walked the earth only a few hundred years ago, some within the last century. So you see, it is not impossible. You do not buy your way into heaven. You must earn your way into heaven. That heaven state of consciousness that is the Holy Christ presence, where all before you is laid out as a pathway strewn with flowers, perfuming the atmosphere, a clarity of the air that is rarefied and wondrous to breathe in, a vision that has at the pinnacle of the goal the ascension, and along the way, those who are the most successful, that accomplish their task more quickly, are those that do not deviate the straight and narrow path, holding to the precepts of cosmic law that they have learned, they have internalized, that they have become. at the end of the day, the glory always goes to the mighty I Am Presence, for it is that mighty I Am Presence that has striven mightily throughout the ages with the outer vehicles, and most especially the memory body, to stay the course to the victory. Perhaps you have looked about and are not too encouraged by what you see on the screen of life before you, either for your own life or for those about, or the mass consciousness. What will you do about it? Will you sit down and quit? Will you allow the weeds of the fetters of the human creation to grow up and strangle out the very connection that you have with the heart of God? I think not, for I know the metal that you are made of. You did not get to this point by wilting in the noonday sun when it was time to stand and be counted. Blessed hearts, it is a glorious company that you keep. For indeed, these life streams that have answered the call know the heart of Saint Germain. They understand what it means to respect and give honor to the Christ in each life stream they come in contact with, regardless of the outer circumstances or expression that may be witnessed. You blessed hearts have hearts that love beyond measure. Yes, we will teach you all of the pitfalls along the way so that you will not be caught unaware. But understand this, we know your heart. We know those who have answered the call. And we stand ready to protect you. There is not one call that goes forth from your heart flame that is not heard and answered. And depending on that call will depend upon whether or not it is in the purview of your presence to set in motion all that is required for that call to be answered. But when it is world conditions, your mighty I Am Presence will enlist the assistance of the respective ascended or cosmic being, angelic kingdom, and therefore answer that call. So you see, blessed ones, all that remains for you to do is to strive to keep climbing the mountain, to maintain your constancy of devotion to God, to express that which you have come to know as the presence of God within, all the while surrendering all that you are at every turn, so that you can be sure that you have not drawn into the folds of your garments some fetter, some human creation that does not rise to the level of the vibration of your Christhood. It is not worth it, regardless of how seemingly gratifying it might be. Seemingly is the key word. For you would not desire for a little child to be introduced to something that was harmful and not telegraph, caution, and hold that child in your loving arms to protect it. When you can understand that, you know how we, the Ascended Masters, feel when it comes to your life stream. I would imagine that those of you in your earlier youth did not dream that a cosmic being would be holding the focus of their attention upon your life stream, and yet it is true. It has occurred long before you were aware, just as those who will come into this august body of light that today do not know that you are making the calls for them, or that an ascended or cosmic being is assisting them to find their voice, their hearing, their vision, their path. So you, blessed hearts, can give gratitude to your mighty I Am Presence at the close of each day for all that you have accomplished, all that you have received, and all that you are yet to perform for your presence and the Ascended Masters. We do require the vehicles of consciousness of the many sons and many daughters of God that are trained in the sacred sciences, so that there can be a torch passed. When those torches are passed, blessed hearts, you will discover that there is a spark that is ignited within your own heart of joy each time there is a life stream that makes the conscious election to be in the presence of God. For yes, blessed hearts, the consciousness that streams forth, the light that streams forth, and the momentum with which it comes is God in all aspects. Every God quality that you have heard of, and yes, there are others that have not been introduced to you at present. Every one of the great pranic breaths of the elemental forces of nature that you have been introduced to are a focus of the body consciousness of God that has been prepared for you so that you could weave together a divine culture of godliness, of beauty, of joy, so that there could be an acceleration of the flame of God in all forms of life, where an ascended master way of life would not be a foreign terminology to those in the mass consciousness, but it would be familiar, and those who were aware would have that conscious awareness of what was meant to live that way of life. And they would begin to refine their livelihood, their conversations, their garments, their music, their entertainment, their recreations. And when they came together, there would be this glorious body of one accord, looking to the great I Am and expressing gratitude and devotion of God love that would, in all cases, flow back to them many times over, more than they could count, for the blessings of God are abundant, and God is not a stingy or jealous God, save that you keep the first commandment and have no other God before the I Am. Now there are those of lesser conscious awareness that would attribute the words I am to their selfish, minuscule outer persona. But you have come to know that when you use the phrase I am, you are giving the power of your mighty I Am presence into whatever follows, so that you will take care what you say and how you express the motions, the energies, the words, the conveyance that you extend to any other life when you use I am, knowing that you are giving power to that expression with the use of I am, you will begin to realize how so many things in your life that are occurring are at your own command, for you have uttered the words, calling forth the light of your mighty I Am presence into a lesser state of consciousness or vibration or ill will, malady, lack. So as you, blessed hearts, begin to refine your conversations, you will likewise desire, as you have learned this very night, or I should say been reminded, for you have heard this over and over, and the message has always been the same. Always speak well of another. The conversation that you would speak in the name of the Christ presence, to the Christ presence, and leave all else to the hand of the mighty I Am presence of each life stream to deal with the worldly circumstances. Do not fall sway to those prattling about in everyone's business, which leads to nothing but destruction on all fronts, most especially the one who is doing the speaking. There is no room for gossip in an ascended master way of life. When there is the necessity to protect the body of God consciousness. Information is needed, but not gossip, not embellishment, not supposition. And where one is not ascended, you may not have all of the answers. Therefore, guard well what you allow not only to pass before your lips, but to enter your ear. For they could very well be the cause of your maladies and your ill state of affairs that you would like to change. So you see, blessed hearts, there is a great deal of preparation of the vehicles of consciousness that is required for you to be able to hold all of the light that your mighty I Am Presence desires of you, for you to be able to utter the call and the call be answered on the instant, for you to be able to clear the way for others that would see your example and wish to follow in your footsteps. But this is what is the requirement of the torchbearers of the temple. This is not a social organization of a worldly nature. This is one where you practice an ascended master way of life, and all of the divine culture within it can go on. And you are setting the example for the rest of the world that goes begging for the touch of God in their life, for they have allowed themselves to become so depleted of the charge of God consciousness that it no longer can get through the density to resonate with their heart flame. Blessed ones, as the patron of the Golden Age culture, I desire to see each one exhibiting in their own life one example of what you would offer to the ascended masters as that divine culture in the land. It does not need to be outside of the reach of what you are capable of exhibiting even in this hour. But if you look, you will discover what is right there and has been all along. The gift that you came to give even in this hour. It does not mean that this is the last gift or the only gift. But each one, without exception, has a gift. I look forward to witnessing the expression of your gift, as I will collect them up as a bouquet of flowers of many variations and color, of many different fragrances, and I will take them to the altar of the great central sun, presenting them to the cosmic councils, and let's see what they have to say. about your bouquet of cultural expression of God. I know what I would say. I know what I will say. But that I will hold until you have made your decision. Throughout the many, many civilizations that I have been blessed to oversee, there is none that brings me greater excitement than the work to bring forth this golden age for the earth. For there are many remnants in the land that must be gathered together and drawn under the canopy of an ascended master way of life, so that the ascended masters may indeed have an earth that sets the example for other civilizations of worlds that are just beginning. Not unlike you, look to the divine culture on Venus. You blessed hearts have a glorious opportunity to leave your mark on the golden age of the earth. Let your heart soar. Do not be caught in a web of human consciousness. Do not allow the voices and riptides of thought and feeling to enter into your life, to tear you away from that divine desire of your God presence. Your heart is already filled with holy purpose, else you would not be in attendance to my flame or to our releases from this altar. Therefore, blessed ones, hold fast. Let the sword of truth, the shield of El Moria, Himalaya, Hercules, and all who serve on the blue flame of the will of God. Let the canopy of the blue flame of the great divine director encircle you as well as the entirety of the earth, so that you might not lose one erg of energy, one step along the way, one acceleration on the path. And blessed ones, when the time draws nigh for you to exhale that last breath, let it be into the waiting arms of your God presence in the ascension in the light. And I, Pallas Athena, will stand as a guardian presence for your victory, along with the goddess of liberty, and each one of the ascended masters that have ushered you along the way these many lifetimes to that glorious day in the sun that you are sure to have. Be sealed in our light and our momentum as you grasp the day of your becoming.